Okay, so today I'm going to talk to you about how to increase the overall quality of your leads. And what I mean by this is I see a lot of the time when people are running Google Ads campaigns, generally they're not running them properly. Sometimes they are, but just generally they're not. Um, Generating quite a bit of leads. However, the leads themselves are not people who are interested in the product or they're, interested in a job or just looking for a quote or, these people aren't going to buy from you and they're just really tire kickers, they're time wasters. And it's essential that you reduce the amount of these people as much as possible. That way, you can make more sales for you or your client, whatever you're doing, um, to ensure your campaign is, being as profitable as possible. So there's several things I look at when determining how much you should increase the quality of your leads. Um, and essentially it is a trade-off. Generally, if you're the higher the quality of leads, the less you're going to get. That's just how it is. But if you just have tons of leads and you're like, listen, I don't know why they're not acting really well, these are some things I would recommend looking into and adjusting. So first off is keywords. So keywords are one of the biggest things I see in campaigns that aren't doing well. A lot of companies they'll go with cheap. I shouldn't say cheap. I should just say less expensive ad agencies, and they'll run, broad match. Have a very low ad budget, and they'll deliver quite a few leads. And then they can send it to a landing page. Generally, they don't because too much work. They'll just send it directly to that customer's website. They'll get a handful of leads, maybe even a lot. But when the people are answering the phone and they're like, or replying to an email, they're like, these people they're not related whatsoever. Like they don't want my product. They're just looking for a job. They're just looking for a quote. They're not actually interested in buying. They're looking for the lowest price. It's a real pain, and it's not a very good place to be. So what I recommend doing is looking for one higher intent keywords, and you do this by one getting rid of I remove essentially all broad match by month, the end of month one. Generally I don't even run them at the beginning unless it's like a brand new niche and I really need to find keywords. I stay away from broad match as much as possible, unless you're doing like something like e-commerce, which it could be very useful for, but we're not in that. We're doing services, particularly the skilled trades. Um, so you want to remove as much broad match as possible. That way, your phrase match, exact match really allows you to dial in and check the key and target the keywords you want to target. Um, that being said, you have to target keywords that have high buying intent. They can't just be, a broad match keyword that says, let's take for example HVAC, and you just leave it HVAC and broad match. You're going to appear for literally anything, and you're just going to get terrible quality leads because you're going to be, coming up for rival companies under their searching. You're going to come up for people who are looking for HVAC, DIY tips. It just there's so much out there. You really need to narrow it down in search intent. So look for stuff, and it really depends. For certain niches, you could get away with HVAC companies near me, and so most of the time that's really good. But sometimes I see even then we'll get customers saying like that we're still getting calls from people who are looking for a job or whatever. It's like, okay, now we got to take it to the next level. So furnace repair, furnace installation, AC repair, AC replacement, stuff like that, where it's that next level where even people who are looking for a job, looking for rival companies, stuff like that, they're not going to be typing that in. Only your customers would be typing that in, and that's really the bottom part of the funnel, or buying intent, I should say, where where your real money makers are, and that's what you should be targeting. Another thing is increase negatives. I see this a lot again with broad match, and it's really difficult to do if you're just running broad match because broad match can target everything. So negatives, would they help with broad match? Yeah, but it's like how much? Because there's just so many keywords being typed. So if you're running phrase exact match, increase the negatives. Make sure you're not appearing for rival companies. Things like if cheap HVAC, cheap landscaping, stuff like that. Anything that's related to looking for a deal, stay away from that because you don't want to be fighting over price. Uh, it's just not a good place to be. You want to be fighting over the value you can bring to the customer, and price. It's important, but it's not as important as the value you can bring to the customer. So that's what I would recommend. with keywords. Keywords are super important when it comes to determining the quality of the leads. The next thing is the actual ad and landing page copy. If you see a lot of people coming to your landing pages, they call you up, they send you an email, and they're saying, "Well, you're just way too expensive. Like the pricing is just completely it's out the window. We're not even going to consider it." And that's happening for 98% of your customers. You got an issue. So what I recommend doing, I see this quite often in e-commerce, is including your actual pricing in the ad copy and on the landing page. So if someone sees an ad and it says price is starting at 500 bucks to fix a furnace or $10,000 to install a pool or something like that, and these are just fictitious numbers, um, people aren't going to click on that ad. Will your quality score drop and your click-through rate drop? Yes, and your cost per click will go up. But you're only going to be getting people that see that offer and they're like, yeah, that offer's fine with me. And then they go to your landing page, that pricing is on there, and they go, yeah, that's fine. I'll give them a call anyways. These people are much more inclined to buy from you. Because they already know what it's going to cost, right? There's no real surprises behind it. That's an excellent way to deter people who are just, tire kickers or looking for the best deal. Excellent, excellent way to do that. The next thing I would recommend doing is using a CRM. This is, it really depends on how big your company is, how well you are at technology. In a perfect world, everyone would use a CRM. We would know exactly which keywords are converting into, um, clients and which ones aren't. That way, we could just focus directly on those keywords. But unfortunately, it's not. If you are fortunate enough to use a CRM and it's working flawlessly, I would say integrate that with your Google Ads, and you could see like amazing results. It's night and day when it comes to that stuff. But a lot of companies and a lot of people in the skilled trades don't want to do that because they don't want to use the technology, they don't want to learn, and I get it, they're busy. But CRMs can make a massive difference in your campaigns overall. The next thing I would say, if you're using call only campaigns and you're seeing a lot of just random calls and they're not really converting, you could switch over to a search campaign and then drive that traffic to a landing page. And essentially, what we're doing here is what it says below is increasing the funnel length. So someone who just sees the number on as soon as they type it in Google, they see your phone number, they click it. They don't really have as much information as they would if they had to click on the actual ad copy. They had to go in, read your landing page, then click, call now, and then call you. If these people aren't interested, they're more likely to drop out along the way through your landing page, and it would remove some of the people that are not that interested in buying from you. So extending the actual funnel length. Are you going to lose some potential customers? Sure, because they're not immediate. But if it's a really big deal, I would recommend switching to a search campaign, and it would help definitely remove some of those losers and bring in more winners. And the next thing is increase the funnel length. So I would say if you're taking a lot of email inquiries, increase the amount of fields they have to fill out. So people who are really serious about buying from you or want a product from you or you solve a problem, they're willing to fill out essentially as much information as you require. The people who aren't going to fill that out. So if you require name, email, phone address, address, just a whole bunch of fields that they could fill out and send to you. That's a great way of getting rid of people who aren't really interested because people who aren't, they're not going to spend the time filling out a long form. And again, that just helps remove some of the people from your funnel that probably weren't going to convert anyway. The next thing is area selection. So I see this a lot with people will say just like, target, let's say Toronto, which is a big city in Canada, and then just 100 kilometers out from there. And the thing is, there's a lot of locations in that 100 kilometers that are not great to be targeting, or they don't need your services, or they're low income, or they're, the demographics just, they don't want your product. There's no need for it. So if you're spending money in certain locations, and it's nice because you can see it on Google Map and where your clicks are coming from, get rid of those areas. There's no point to be targeting them, especially if, say you offer a super high quality service like pool installation. You want to be targeting, affluent people, even middle income, upper income people who can afford the product. There's no point targeting people who are, super rural areas who, that can't afford it. Um, so, and of course, I'm generalizing here. Take everything with a grain of salt when I say this. But you want to be targeting people who are, proactively looking for your services. And certain areas are going to be more proactive in that, and they're going to be more likely to buy from you. And yeah, look at the data, follow that, and see which areas are converting more. That's what I would recommend. The second thing kind of matches up with this demographic selection. Chances are, if you're selling a super high-end product, an 18 to 25-year-old that probably isn't going to buy it because they don't have the money behind them, right? Of course, generalizing, but you can adjust the demographics. Say your product is more oriented towards women, or it's more oriented towards men, or one someone in the relationship generally makes the decision more than them, just because based on the product knowledge. You can adjust for male to female. You can adjust for income level. You can adjust for age. There's so many things you can adjust on. I wouldn't say get super carried away with it. I would say increase and decrease by 5 to 10% in each of these and see where it goes, because um, Google's data is really accurate, but it's not perfect. So you always want to give yourself a little leeway when creating these settings, and not just black and white immediately. There are instances where we would just completely remove, for example, mobile traffic and website traffic. Sorry, PC traffic. We would just remove PC traffic and just go with mobile. But those, and generally because we only want calls. But that's one of the very few things where I would say just, completely hack one thing out of there. With demographic, adjust, see where you're going, look week over week, and continue adjusting from there. So overall, that's how to increase your leads and the quality of your leads, I should say. Um, it's it's not super hard to do, but it does take time. It does take knowledge, and some strategy and some planning behind it. If you have any comments on how to increase your quality of leads further, leave them down in the description below. I'd love to answer them. Until then, have a wonderful day. I wish you all well and take care.